What's going on, guys? Today I'm going to take a quick look at Novonix Limited, stock ticker NVX. Now these guys are being talked about by every retailer and his dog, right? There's huge hype and momentum behind this stock on the anticipation for Battery Day next week. People are expecting that, Tesla's going to talk about Novonix or have a collaboration or sign a deal or something to that effect. Now, the concerning thing is how much this is being talked about on social media. Whether it's Twitter, Facebook groups, hot copper forums, that's a particularly scary place to look at this stock if you want to confirm your bullish bias. And even on YouTube, there's a couple of videos out there on Novonix. But the scary thing that no one seems to be talking about is the market capitalization and where Novonix should be, at least where I believe it should be as well. Now, this isn't financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, and this isn't a recommendation to buy or sell Novonix. I'm simply providing an opinion, and that opinion is that I believe this stock is a buy the rumor, sell the news event. I see this time and time again on the markets for the last 8 years or so. This doesn't look any different. In fact, this looks exactly the same. So let me justify to you my position for why I believe it is a buy the rumor, sell the news event. Because I know there's going to be a lot of angry comments below, because there's a bunch of guys, there's the good likelihood actually that if you're watching this video, you're probably already a shareholder and you're looking for a bit of bias to confirm your belief that this is going to go to the moon. Well, let me shatter those dreams based on my opinion, and nothing but my opinion. On the 9th of June, we had a nice big pump day. I'll show you the announcement in a minute. But since then, there hasn't been any significant news, except just the usual reporting stuff, like the quarterly reports, the financials and all that. So it's been trending sideways, and then it consolidated and pumped to the upside, consolidated again, pumped to the upside, consolidating again, but not looking as crash hot anymore. Now, we're 1 week away from Battery Day, a little bit less than a week away, and I have a feeling that this is just going to collapse. Especially if nothing happens on Battery Day, which I don't expect it will. On Battery Day, how many other hundreds, if not thousands of companies are looking to get some sort of announcement out to the public that they're working with Tesla, right? NVX isn't the only company out there, guys. Now, what happened on 9th of June that caused this initial pump here is this announcement here that the company is pleased to announce its ability to manufacture single crystal NMC cathode material using its proprietary DPMG technique. Now, single crystal cathode is something that's been mentioned and rumored to be part of the million mile battery. That's also rumored to be announced on Battery Day. Now, that's more likely than not to happen. But the question is, what's the significance of Novonix, and will Novonix be mentioned on Battery Day? I really don't think it will. I don't see any reason for it to. So before I go any further, let's have a look at the market capitalization. Now, this company rallied really hard from 70 cents to $2.10, purely based on that announcement and this momentum swing based on its anticipation for Battery Day. Let's look at the financials. We have a company that's sitting at $13 million equity. Equity is assets minus liabilities, and if I was to summarize equity in like one sentence, it's if you sell the whole business, what's it worth? Like, how much money would you get back out of it? $13 million. That's a rough, crude way of looking at it, just real briefly. So we've got 13 million in equity, and we've got a company that for the half year has produced $2.6 million in revenue, is losing $7 million. So we can assume for a full year, it's roughly 5 million revenue and roughly $14 million loss for the year. Now, we had a cap raise, if I bring it up, that was not too long ago. That was 3rd of June. That's when it opened up, closed at 18th of June, and they raised $58 million. And a lot of that was done at 30 cents a share. So we have a company that's sitting at an equity position. If we add the $58 million, we've got 12 mil, 13 mil plus 58. So we have about $71 million in equity. So it was trading at 10x equity at one point in time. Why? Why was it 10x equity? That seems like an extremely large market cap valuation for a stock that's pulling in $14 million losses, approximately. And it has $71 million or $70 million equity after $58 million of cap raise. So keep that in mind. $58 million of that equity position is in cash. That's a huge portion in cash. So if we were to strip everything we knew about NVX, just strip away all your knowledge about the company, and look at nothing but the financial standing of the company. Look at nothing but the equity. Look at nothing but the revenues. Look at nothing but the profits. And one would have to go, there's something really concerning about the numbers we're seeing. And that it seems to overshoot a lot. Now, one would also say, oh, well, look at Afterpay and look at their valuation of $20-something billion. They're a loss-making business, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, but they've got a lot of equity and they have stupid amounts of growth. My question is, where's the stupid amount of equity for NVX and where's the stupid amount of growth? I don't see any. So, after having a look at the financials, that already is a big red flag. Second red flag is this is all pure price action and momentum leading up to Battery Day. So we don't even have any fundamentals, any announcements, price-sensitive announcements that justify these swings to the upside. This is price action and momentum. So there's two pieces of information for why I think this is just going to be a buy the rumor, sell the news. It happens all the time. NVX is doing nothing new in terms of its chart. So let's have a look at its presentation. And I'm not going to rail too hard on NVX for its PowerPoint presentation here, because every company has one of these, and it's basically a propaganda piece to say, look at us, we're so great. So I'm not going to rail too hard on them for that. First question I have is, if they're the only US graphite anode supplier, does that matter? The batteries are being made in China, not in the US. So does it matter that they're the only supplier? Now, it's good that they've got a commercial product line up and running, and it's good that they've signed an agreement with the two largest battery makers in 2018, which is Samsung and Sanyo, representing 40% of the 2018 market share. Now, this information comes from Avicini Energy, which is their source for a lot of information, and we'll get to that a little bit later, and I do think this is incorrect, and wholly incorrect. So feel free to read the rest of this in your own time. We've got, 5-year targets of 25,000 tons per year, and then suddenly, from 2,000 tons per annum to 25 and then to 100. I mean, that's a 50x target within 6 years. I know it says 10 years, but they range from 6 to 10 years in this document. So it's a little bit ambitious, and I would heed caution to that being realistic. Now, this is where Avicini Energy comes into play. Every company, when they create charts like this and documentation like this, they want the best possible information they can get to make their company look good. In this case, Avicini was that source. So we've got 2020 here in the middle on the left, and we've got 10 years worth of data that doesn't exist. It's purely fiction, right? It's a guesstimate, and hell, we even have 20 years into the future here on this EV sales graph. 20 years in the future is a prediction. How ridiculous is that? And then, of course, you got the metric here to 2030 as well. Now, anything more than 2 years into the future is just ridiculous to claim any kind of knowledge for, right? Yeah, you can get your trend graphs. You can build a trend on anything. You can build a trend on coronavirus killing like 20 billion people by the end of next year. Depends on what trend you're looking at, but it's a bit ridiculous. So we've got a source here, Avicini, and we've got we've got the estimation here of total addressable market of this graphite anode of being 6 billion in 2030. Okay, buddy, 10 years into the future, best of luck with that target. So let's have a look at Avicini. These guys have a website that looks like it was made in the 1990s. And it's a little bit concerning. Just when you look, I mean, that was straight out of PowerPoint, where it says whole package here. So it's a really outdated looking website. I question the quality and content. And here's one of the PowerPoint presentations that I found from Avicini. And this is made by Christopher Pillett, a director at Avicini Energy. And they're looking at trends from 2018 to 2030 in the battery market. And if you just look at the charts, I mean, if you look at the entire PowerPoint presentation, it looks like it was done by a 10th grader, right? These aren't professional looking charts. They're not done well at all. It's actually kind of concerning that this is the source for the information in the PowerPoint presentation. But look, I'll leave it up to you guys to determine whether that's a quality source or not. I can't find too much on Avicini Energy online, so who knows, maybe they're a big market player, but I just don't know anything about them. We scroll down, battery growth happening in the US today. Like, great, it's not overly exciting. We scroll down, there's a bunch of headlines here, which I don't know why you'd put news headlines. They're meaningless. They're kind of just clickbait stuff. You know, most news articles are clickbait these days. So more news snippet articles, not interested. We scroll down, and this is where Avicini is used as a source again. Avicini Energy 2019, just down here in the bottom left. Now, they're claiming that Samsung and Sanyo represent 40% of the global lithium-ion battery market in 2018. I had a quick look at Google. Samsung was ranked number 6 in the world, and Sanyo didn't even rank in the top 15. So I question where this information comes from and how accurate it is. I don't think that's an accurate statement at all. I can't find anything that suggests this is a true statement. 40% most definitely not. But guys, up to you. Do your own research on this one. I could not find anything even remotely close to suggesting this sentence is true. But again, this comes from Avicini Energy, and they're making the claim. It's not Novonix. So we'll have a look. Novonix has an initial supply of 500 tons of synthetic graphite anode material commencing in 2020. Brilliant. They've got some sales. They're working towards longer-term supply agreements, as you'd hope they would. They're looking to grow the business. R&D collaboration, brilliant on new materials. That's all well and good. Non-binding MOU, not that interested in non-binding stuff. We scroll down, there's a nice little bit of propaganda piece on how good the technology is. We scroll down, there's some charts about how good the anode material is compared to synthetic and natural, which is all well and good. And we scroll down a little bit further, and this is where the million-mile battery comes into play again. There's talk about it, the quest for the million-mile battery, and there's some elements here, the critical elements, and you can read that yourself. But really what we have here is, you know, again, snippets of headlines of things to do with GM and Tesla, and nothing really to do with Novonix. But they're trying to tell the story that, you know, Novonix could be part of the Tesla story. So scroll down further, a bit of information about the manufacturing methods and the process. We scroll down, and really the rest of the documentation, aside from this one here, is the growth plan. Now the growth plan is fascinating because it also is just another story. I question how accurate this really is. You know, companies that look 10 years into the future, or 2016 to 2030, for 100,000 tons, when they're currently doing a ramp to 2,000, right? They're not at 2,000, they're ramping to 2,000. Right? And they're looking at targets of 25,000 tons a year. Like, it's nice that they have goals and stuff, but I don't buy things that look more than 2 years into the future. I just don't buy this information at all. To me, it's not realistic. And I've gone through so many company announcements that look just like this, and a couple of years later, they just fall off the face of the earth. I'm not suggesting Novonix is going to fail, but, you know, just take it with a heavy grain of salt. And then the rest of the document is just the company information and structure and stuff like that. So really, guys, based on what you just saw of the company, I gotta ask the question, at what point do you think this is worth 700 million market cap? At what point? What needs to happen to be 700 million? I mean, we're almost there. We were just there a few days ago. Why would it be 700 million market cap? The only answer I have is it's a buy the rumor, sell the news. And if you don't believe it's a rumor, if you don't believe it's driven by sentiment and retailers, have a look at any social media at all. Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. And just look at the sentiment there and look at the discussion that's being had. How much of it is looking at the market cap? How much is looking at what it is valued at the moment compared to what it should be valued into the future? So do take that into consideration, guys. It wouldn't surprise me if NVX took a pretty sizable dump within the next month or two. So keep that in mind. Again, it's not a recommendation to buy or sell. It's just worth considering a different perspective and opinion on the company.